Isn't that something? I don't get that.
That's a whole different story there.
Yeah. That's something good.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Dwight. Nice hat.
Thank you.
Thought who was that?
Oh, there's a big one.
That was too big.
Big.
Whoa, hey, more of me. That's what I believe in.
It was a big window pane.
Yes.
No, we don't have that going.
That's your view.
I know.
Ah.
Lulu said we are live on YouTube.
Uh-oh, sorry.
The good thing is I don't have to look at it the whole meeting.
Watch it. I can hear you. It sounds really good, actually.
Speakers are better.
That's it.
Still have to hear
When he
it, though.
told me it's gonna be blaring on this, did you get that? Executive session.
Oh, something else I wanted to tell you.
I heard that, Gary.
Okay, I think we're ready to get started. So, Dwight, we're gonna get started, so,
Calm down.
yeah. calm
Okay.
down, calm yourself
Yes,
down.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
I pledge allegiance to
Texas,
one state, under God, one and indivisible. Let's pray. Our Father, we just come to you today with thankful hearts. We are thankful that we can gather today. We are thankful for the rain that you've provided us. We just ask that you watch over those communities that have had a little more rain than they can handle. Please be with us today. Help us to make good decisions for the county. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, Dwight, can you hear us all right? Okay. All right, we muted you, but can you unmute yourself or? Okay, well, you can unmute.
Yes,
Dwight.
yes, I can.
Okay,
Yes, I
all right, good deal. Okay. Okay, the first item on the agenda is public comments. Any public comments? Did you sign a sheet?
Yes, I did.
Oh, let me grab it. Sorry.
I'm Mark for the Maryland Partner.
Yes.
So I've talked to y'all at the lab. And y'all had your special. I talked to Dwight and he's helping us as much as he can. I really believe that. And all of y'all, but we need help. If there's 25 cases of subject people, right, Hutchinson County, and if we're not getting Jeremy to get something done about it. One letter sent to somebody on such and such violations in 3 or 4 years. That to me is unacceptable. Got to get some help somehow. Y'all or y'all, we need some numbers or somebody from EPA or something like that, that we can get something done. Because this is getting ridiculous.
And we may have asked you this question before, but have y'all contacted TCEQ?
Yes, we have. They turn around and call y'all. You know,
Dwight's had some conversations and we talked about
yeah,
with TCEQ.
Came to our director,
Yeah.
the last. And, you know, he said, well, Jeremy's the only one that is in the area that can do it. But if he's got his job, he's off in Oklahoma or Kansas or somewhere in South Texas, wherever, and not getting where he can come with trees whenever they're uncovered and people's putting these in, there's a problem there. We need something done on this.
I think that's going to change, but we're not there yet.
I've known what I told us at the last one. But we've got a group of people out there in our area that's fixing to call 4710 Globe News and put it in there, and they're gonna send it to me. I'm gonna turn around and tell them they need to come talk to y'all, because we have no control. And then we've got one other problem out there, which is dogs. And I know we don't have a leash law in Hutchinson County. And talking to our lawyer through the association, they say, well, you can put one in effect, but the county does not have a leash law. It's gonna be very hard for us to enforce.
Just to let you know, we do. There is a leash law. So the sheriff brought that to us about a year ago. So you can contact them.
Well, whenever we talked to him about it, he said that it got it done, or it was through, and then it got revoked because there was some problems with
It
it.
didn't get revoked.
Okay.
It's citation only. So he should remember that, the details of it. There is a leash law in effect. It's citation only for the owners that they prove that there's owners of the dogs.
Can somehow we get a copy of that? So we.
That'll be with his office. He should have it. Yes, sir.
And there's one filed across the hall too in the county clerk's office.
Okay, appreciate that. That's what I've got to say.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Hub.
sir. Appreciate you.
Do you want this?
Thank you, Mark.
Any other public comments? Okay, item 3 is to approve the minutes from our previous commissioners court meeting.
There were no corrections or additions to the regular meeting of May 22nd, 2023.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, item 4 is to consider and or approve the county auditor's tabulated report to the commissioners court.
I sent that in an email, just with all of the cash receipts and disbursements of the and the accounts balances for today.
Anybody have any questions for Alicia? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the auditor's tabulated report.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, anybody have any questions on our bills for this month? You should have got those emailed to you. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to pay the bills, approve payment of the bills.
I'll second it.
A motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Kim, do you have anything on payroll?
Yeah, we had, payroll disbursements for this last month were $886,976.64.
Did you have anything else that you needed to report, like separations or new hires or? Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to approve the
I'll
payroll?
make a motion to approve of payroll.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, at this time, we're going to break into executive session, deliberations about security devices. Hopefully this won't take us too long. So if everyone could just have a seat outside, we'll holler at you when we are finished.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, hold on, Dwight.
we'll go to a breakout room.
Stay or go.
You can go.
I'll get you in a breakout room, so be watching for that one.
Officer's already gone.
Hmm.
One thing I was pretty,
We never got her hired.
really, never even went through.
Really?
Yeah. Just, I mean, Hannah's here, but the one that's gonna be over. You know, she, you know, asked.
Thanks, Angelica. Dwight, are you back with us? Yeah, go back to the breakout room, right there with the. Yeah. And get Dwight, just close it.
Not all.
Yeah, close all the rooms.
They'll come in.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we went out at 9:40 and back in at 9:51. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to consider and or approve any action from executive session.
I move to approve the IT department to go out for bids regarding Office 365 and other applications regarding the county's software program.
No, second it.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, item 10 is our department head reports. And we're going to hear from a brief report from the airport, the museum, and the library. So who wants to start, Clay? Like, if you need that podium, you can scoot it over there.
Okay, that's probably.
Yeah.
a good idea.
And it's been 3.5 years since I've made a report to you guys. So I thought I would, so we could get highlights. And you can read it or not.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give that one. I think. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. As I said, the last report I made was January 2019, or pardon me, January 2020 for year 2019. And I'm not going to go through all the personnel stuff. You guys know the personnel changes. Dee Reed's been promoted to administrator. She's doing a great job. Rosa Rangel is the best registrar we've had since I've been at the museum. She's outstanding. She could probably be the director and she'd do fine. Rick Zay could be the director too. It's a great crew. I've got good people around me and all I have to do is suggest something and it happens. And it's really rewarding. About new exhibits. That's been the most important thing to me since I've been there. I wanted to establish a children's program. Didn't have a lot of luck with that. It looks like we're having some things change. Luke Welch has gone to the middle school. And Luke is a friend of mine. And I think we're going to be able to put a children's program or part of a children's program in effect between now and the time I leave in December. But new exhibits, let's see, there are about 10 since I've talked to you last. You can read through those. We either build a new exhibit completely from scratch or we refresh what was there, meaning take everything out, paint it, and give it a new look and add more information. And I've always said that I designed for 3 different audiences. People like to look at stuff, people that like to read a little, people like to read a lot. So all of these are that way. With the cameras that I have around the museum, I can watch as people are seeing what's going on with visitors. And when they're really looking in, really reading what we put out there, that's what I want. And that's fine. Since the last time I was here, I've come up with an idea called posters. And it's nothing more than framed information that talk about historical events, places, and people that make the county's history interesting. They're all over the museum now, and you'll see the ones that I've added since the last time I was here above. Try not to go into too much here about verifying and recataloging and reorganizing the collection. It was a mess when I got there. It's taken 12 years. It's under control now. And when we go into our software, Past Perfect, and you read where an object is, you go to that space and that's where it is. And that's a big deal. We're certainly not anywhere near accreditation, but it's a whole lot better than it was. So whoever takes my place is going to be able to go in Past Perfect and look for something, and it'll be where it says it is. And I'm very proud of that. And Rick Say has been a big piece of making that happen. When I first came on as director, I tried to do it myself. There's not time. There's not time. So I put Rick on that 100% since the children's program that I wanted him to run didn't materialize, and you guys let me keep him on. That's what he's doing, and he's done an incredible job. Preserving and maintaining the building and outdoors, inside and out. It's a never-ending job, and Chris will attest to that fact. Just in the last year, the floods, the multiple floods that we have, the multiple times that I've come to the museum when the water was an inch deep on the floor throughout the entire ground floor, was exhausting. I seriously considered retiring at that time, and I didn't do it. You come in, you got to move 1,000 gallons of water before you can go to work. We got that fixed, it appears to me. I haven't checked it this morning yet. I will when I go back. But the repair across the back alley, where we excavated the entire stem wall in the back of the museum and repaired it and filled it back in, that's working. It's really good. However, all those floods ruined all the sheetrock on the bottom of the restrooms, both restrooms. So we have a bid, and the contractor's it's been approved. PO's been issued. The contractor's going to start on that soon. The new floor in the museum probably will be finished this week. We're having that waxed. That's another ordeal, but you're going to be able to see the face in it when you come over. And I want all of you to come once we get done. I want you to see what we've done. This has been wonderful helping me and with the contractor, and we got good people working for us at Craftsman. Also, before I leave, we're going to have a new air conditioning unit put in. That was one of the reasons that getting the money to do that, we've only had to have two. This is the second since I've been here 12 years. That's going to happen pretty quickly. And also the front of the museum is going to get a complete new paint job. That contractor, that bid's been let. PO's been issued. So Museum and Friends set a new historical marker last year. And for Isom, set in Huber Park. That's not exactly where I wanted it, but I had to work with friends in the museum that has to about something like that. So anyway, you can drive by and look at it. Arcadia Press makes little books like these. And y'all gave me from they called and they were looking for an author, and I said, you're talking to him. And you guys gave me permission to write this book. It was finished last year. It's selling very well. And I'm real proud of it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it'll be a little bit of legacy that I get to leave behind. Last year we hadn't bought any books in a long time. I spent several $1,000s buying books for our bookstore because we had the money at the time. So we've got a good stock, and that's pretty steady sale. It's not steady. It comes and goes, but steady by the year. So we do pretty well. Next point, we partnered with Hutchinson County Library for the summer reading program over the last few years. That's been a successful program to get hundreds and hundreds of kids on the museum twice a week. That's a big deal. That's the next generation. If we don't get kids in the museum and people don't know that there's a museum in Border, this is a way to get them to know. There are people that do not know we have a museum in this town, and I've worked on that as much as I can. This is a good program to help us, and it also goes right hand in hand with the library. Let's see. Museum contributed historical photographs from the collection to the Dome project,
Which those are amazing.
and
They are so
love
fun to look at.
I
Yeah.
love that. It's a conversation starter with everybody that's there every time I've ever been. Yes, where did this come from? You know, that's what you want. Also, next point, requested board city manager. I did graphics for the Dome, which tell its entire history, a little bit of history about its inventor. He's a significant individual. And when I was at school in Texas Tech, I got to meet him. Shook Buckminster Fuller's hand. He's a hero of mine. So I got to put that history. We're going to have that right close to the front door. And it's going to be one of those exhibits, just like the ones I have in Orchard Place. Created by the same people that create the ones for the National Park Service. And we'll tell people what this is. It's a significant structure. And I'm so glad the city did what they did. Also, the original Phillips 66 refinery next door is going to have one in front of it to tell people what the things are, what they do, and a little bit of the history of Phillips Petroleum, which is important to us. I'm a member of the Border Main Street Project Committee. That submission has been made to the state, to the Border Main Street program for funds. And I've contributed some to that, and I think that's going to be a good thing too. I don't know if it'll go anywhere. I hope it does. Jury's out. And since I've been director, let's see, tried to maintain an ad presence through numerous magazines that are available with Friends Help. And I'm going to show you guys what we've done. So I'm just going to pass these around. The publications that these are printed in or noticed on each one. These are examples of
I think we get. Oh,
what you do. And tell people these little stories about the museum, tell people these stories about Porter and Hudson County, Stinnett. And this has been something that I've instituted since I've been here. I've done 3 or 4 of them a month for these publications. I think it's very important that you maintain that. Not that you maintain it, that he maintained to create a place in the market. Okay, because there's a gigantic historical heritage tourist industry in this state. People drive hundreds, if not thousands of miles. We've had visitors. I had a guy come in from Australia. Why are you here? I want to go to Adobe Walls. Came from Australia to go to Adobe Walls. Man, that's where it is. Half the movies that you've ever seen in your lifetime based on stories that happened within 100 miles of this place, Westerns. Okay, big deal. So anyway, I'm proud of this. Since this is a college and fly museum, and I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure that it continues to happen after I'm gone. Designed 85 small ads that have appeared in every newspaper in the county. County history. Those are everywhere too. I think they'll continue to be circulated because first of all, the newspaper has them, Oregon News Herald has them, and Fridge Eagle has them too. So those will continue to show up. And in 2021, I redesigned the website, and we partnered with a provider who was here at the time. She moved to Colorado. We haven't had a web coordinator in a while because I don't know how to do that stuff. I have to go to school in order to learn. So I think we've identified a new person, and it's related to one. He's related to one of the people on the Friends of the Museum. So I'll get back to you as that happens. Talked to Dwayne last week about adding the Phillips 66 gasoline truck to the oil patch place. And Red Isbell gave us a road grader that was used to lay out the roads in Hudson County. That was a big deal. There weren't any here. You know, people tend to forget that there were no roads, no infrastructure, no nothing. So that's a legitimate piece. And Judge Mosley contacted me a few weeks ago and asked me to design some graphics for him. I'll pass this to you, and you can. These graphic panels are 4 feet tall, 9 feet wide, and they're going to go in the 3/16 courtroom, one side to the other in the back. and they're in production right now. I can't wait to see them up. This is gonna be cool. He asked for, I don't know what he was thinking of, but when I showed him this, he said, yeah, this will work. So I found a vendor in Amarillo that prints on aluminum panel. It's got aluminum on both sides and PVC in the center. And they prime one side of it so you can print off the biggest Epson printer I've ever seen. It's 20 feet wide. It is enormous. So this is going to be a cool thing, and I'm pleased to get people to do. And the last thing I want to tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I got a notice from True West Magazine. They included a lot of information in here about True West Magazine. I hope you read it. It's about 500,000 people a month look at this thing, okay, nationwide. And we are one of the 10 top Western museums in the United States. I think that's really cool. I can't really tell everybody about it until September. It's going to come out in their magazine. We're going to be featured. And we'll be able to really start promoting it. But you'll notice on some of those ads that I had, that little round logo that talks about it, it's going to go on every ad until I leave. And it should go on for the rest for next year. Like I said, I've got some ideas about how this can continue, how the ad campaign can continue after I'm gone. So I'm going to see if I can make that happen too. But True West is great, great outfit. And I guess the really true last thing is our pandemic took a toll on our events. And you were there, Judge. The last event that we had at the museum before the pandemic was Cowboy Poetry, the night before the lockdown started. So was a little sketchy about that to begin with. And Dee Dee Reese got COVID from that event. So it was it's been a long time. You know now is we can do these things again. Black History Month got transferred off to a group of Black citizens in border that are going to take care of that over at Cofield. The annual vehicle show, we know what happened to that last week. That's been rescheduled to August. We'll participate in that in August. Cowboy Poetry and Music Gathering will happen in September at the Dome. Last year it brought 200 people plus. It was a big deal, and I think we're going to have the same people perform then or for this one that we had last year. And the annual quilt show is in October. It's the entire month, and it looks like it's going to be a biggie too. Now, there's been no Adobe Walls Memorial Observation since pandemic. Not planning one this summer. So I'm going to try to work with whoever you guys choose as the next director to teach them everything that I learned. And I've already talked to Chris on a number of occasions. When I leave, I will work with the next director if they want me to. If they don't, you know, it's understandable. They might want to mark their own ground. But I'll do what I can do to make a smooth transition between me and the next director. And up to and including tell them where the bodies are buried, because there are a few. It's been a real privilege to work for you guys, really has. I've loved this job. It's been the best job I've ever had in my life. I just want to get to a point where I can do what I want to do when I want to do it every day. I think it's gonna be fun.
Like, do you guys have, remember when you had the jazz musicians downtown?
That was Angie Mitchell's.
Right, that was so cool.
It didn't bring anybody.
Well, I brought a few people.
You know, there are as many people downtown without it as there were with it.
Right.
And I was really sad about that because I thought it could be something.
It was really good.
There's been discussion about whether or not we should try that again at the Dome and do it in the Dome.
Mm.
You know, I don't know about the acoustics, but there's, boot scooting on Main Streets sounds better than it is. I've been a dancer most of my life, and it's not that much fun, you know. I would leave that to you to tell them, but you can do it on smooth, it'd be better.
Yeah.
Do it under controlled conditions, it'd be better. I thought it was a great idea, and we had a great band.
Right. I think you've had it twice, and both
Yes,
times
yeah.
The weather was gorgeous. It was hot, but
Gorgeous, and people just don't come. Because
Yeah.
There aren't that many people that do that kind of dance.
No.
You know, which is a shame. I liked it. Prince has lots of money, and they can do some good stuff with that money. And I think that's one of the things they probably should do, but I can only make suggestions.
well, thank you. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Clay.
Okay, who wants to go next? Lee, you're sitting up in the front row.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man. I will.
We'll talk about
I'm going over there now.
She was there. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. This is gonna be pretty short, so I'm not gifted like play. Things that have happened, things we're kind of planning on. We had the West Texas Breakfast Club in April. Came in 11 pilots, 6 airplanes, all of them bought fuel, had a good breakfast, had a good time. My hangar neighbor, Doug.
Wait, hold up, back up.
I'm sorry.
What is the West Texas Breakfast Club? And they fly in for
Yes, a
them
group of
to Borger?
pilots. They fly to wherever for breakfast on Saturdays.
Cool.
So
Where did they have breakfast at?
in the conference room,
Oh, they have breakfast brought in.
yeah, they brought it with them.
Oh, okay.
So we had about 15 people.
They just fly and eat breakfast somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
that's so cool.
Kind of like a $100 hamburger.
Yeah,
Which I'm gonna do
perfect.
next. Doug Evans, my hangar neighbor, is planning on having a hamburger fly in at his hangar sometime during the summer.
Oh, sweet.
His wife's not doing real well, and it's kind of touch and go with Doug, but
Mhm.
we're looking forward to that. Hangars, they're all full. They're one of them. That's the good news. The bad news is I don't have a list of people waiting on any, in case somebody left. Probably could drum up that business, so little advertisement if that happened. But so far, all hangars are full. We've got one fellow that's kind of slow pay, and I have to prod him along a little bit, but he usually a little late, but he comes through. So fuel last week, well, the last 3 weeks actually, it's been a little bit slow due to weather. Not flying in right now. We don't want to get the airplanes hailed on and rained on, and
Mhm.
so it's been a little bit slow. But over the last 5 months, we've sold about 40,000 gallons of fuel, and pretty good for a small airport. So a lot of fuel. And speaking of fuel, this might not be the place to talk about it, but got some ideas on the house money that we could maybe use that in our fuel system and do a little bit better than what we're doing right now. But that's up to you guys. So been busy though. We stay busy. A little behind on grass right now since it's rain, and it's good to have the rain though. So got walking around on the tractor just nearly every day working on the grass. So that's about all that we had going.
Okay.
So
All right. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Lee.
Nancy. From the library.
Yes. So we had about 3,200 people come through our doors at the Borger branch. We've had about 1,200 in the bridge, Instinet about 380. So, and then as far as programs, we've had juvenile programs, 14 in Borger, 3 in Fridge and 2 in Stinnett. And then we've also had 8 adult programs with about 1,100 attendees in Borger. And I don't know if y'all are aware, but my passion is the nursing homes. So right now I've started with the book club at Borger Healthcare out every other Wednesday and read to my group. There's probably about 10 of them, men and women. So I sure do enjoy that. And then our digitization of our microfilm project, we've completed it. We've received all the film back. So I turned in, we got the grant for that. So I turned in, all the papers for it to go ahead and be paid. And then I know I've got my final report that I need to write for it and get it submitted. In our summer reading program, so we had 200 kids sign up the first day in Borger. We've never had that many kids ever sign up on the first day. So we, right now we've got about 353 kids that are signed up. We also, of course, are in partnership with the museum, as Clay said. So the kids come, turn in their reading logs or whatever, and then we encourage them to go over to the museum. They do a little scavenger hunt, and then they get prizes over there. They bring a ticket back, and then we give them, extra prizes for that. So give them incentive to keep reading. And so far, we've had 88 participants turn in their scavenger hunt papers, and that's just been, in the first week, and they were closed, due to the floors part of that time. So we might, could have had a few more. We had our first and second program last week. We had Southwest Dairy come, and he's from Muleshoe. He's got one, it was a Jersey cow. So the kids got to, he gave us a lot of history. I learned a lot of stuff. And then he actually hooked up the milking machine. So
he brought his cow with him?
yes. So the kids really like that. So we're going to have it over here in Stinnett, I believe that last week of June.
Cool.
And then that Wednesday, last week, we had books, boots, and badges. So the big water balloon fight. So we have both the firemen and the policemen read a book to the kids to start it. And then, of course, we all go out for the water balloon fight, and some had a wonderful time with that, didn't they, Chris?
Sure they did. Fire.
Yeah. By the time it was all said and done,
Everybody was wet.
yeah, the firemen hooked the hose up to their truck. So yeah, we were all wet, but we were all having a blast. I know this week on Wednesday, we are going to have, and actually there were 71 kids that showed up for the books, boots, and badges, and 59 adults as well. So we had a really good turnout. This week, we've got Stephen Fike coming. He's a children's musician. So we'll do it at all 3 branches on Wednesday. So we'll be 10 o'clock here in Stinnett, 2 in Borger, and then at 4 in Fridge. So he's very highly recommended. So we're looking forward to that. And then we will continue to have programs, throughout all June and July and that first week in August. So do y'all have any questions?
Thank you. Y'all are busy.
Good job.
No, summer's
you,
always
Nancy.
a time for you.
It is.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, item 11, is to consider and or approve hiring a temporary part-time summer help in the library. Anthony, come back.
Sure. So we do have the money in our budget for 10 hours a week. We're hoping for a high school student that can go with us and kind of help us with the programs, especially when we do all 3 branches. We do floor prizes, so we hand out raffle tickets. That's how we keep our count. So for adults as well as kids. So I believe 7 weeks, and the total was like $560. But again, we do have that money in our budget to pay for it.
Do you have somebody?
I move-
Well,
Maybe.
it didn't work. Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. We've got a few that we're looking at, but I can't get a hold of one, but I didn't want to pursue it too much to find out whether or not we could.
I move to approve the hiring of a part-time help for the summer library.
Second.
For the library during the summer.
Yeah, as I say, only the summer
Yeah.
library. I gotcha. All right, we
Thank
have a
you.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, great.
Thanks, y'all.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, item 12 is to consider and or approve rebuilding the airport house and or other living quarters at the airport. Did y'all got that email where Alicia sent to the risk management people? Is that who that was?
Yes.
About if we could use that depreciation, if it would qualify if we did like an efficiency apartment, and they said it would. We would get those extra funds if we wanted to do something like that.
That was what, 54,000?
How much extra was that? That was like 30
That
something.
was 54 something.
Oh, 54.
Some change.
Okay.
I thought
To get the
Go ahead, Ben.
54, you gotta spend it all though. Including the 54 plus the 100 and whatever.
134.
We got the it's like 125,000 that's for the house, which is minus the deductible. So in order to get the recoverable depreciation, you've got to spend the 123,000 plus, plus some, so that. Or at least what you've received in insurance.
Mhm.
Solely on the house, like solely on the,
And they did not say solely on the house. It says. So Brett's response to me was, yes, the coverage allows to claim the depreciation on capital expenditure projects. The only two requirements are it must be a county property and could not have been planned before the loss. So to me, it doesn't sound like it has to be
The,
a living
structure.
quarter, or it can be any kind
So
of
you
capital expenditure project, as long as it wasn't already planned before the loss. And
So we could build that apartment and then plus upgrade the security too, right?
well, it just depends on how much, I mean, we can. If Lee has it's up to Lee, if he wants to do the fuel thing, the security, and then if that spends it all. Or well, I guess we could do the apartment on that and then we get the 54 and then that's not restricted once we get it. For the airport use.
so, well, if you're gonna get the depreciation, you're gonna have to spend $125,000 on.
Well, just, that's what I'm saying, just.
Or just a capital
Anything out.
improvement.
All it says is the only two requirements, it has to be a county property. So I don't know if that means,
And we have a year after
2 years.
2 years after the claim was made.
yes,
Okay,
To figure out what we're gonna do with all of it,
yes.
so we still have
Okay.
some time to kind of make sure.
look into some
I mean,
things.
if it is applicable to do that efficiency. And we can invest that money into infrastructure and get that 54,000, that would just think that'd be ignorant to leave that on the table. Because that could basically give us a free efficiency in there, if Lee wants to do that. You had mentioned that, Lee, about putting that like a efficiency apartment in that one hangar. I don't know if that's something, it's your airport, so it's whatever you want to do. If that's something is that something that you still might think that would be?
I think there's enough money there that you can do both the projects I'm
Right.
talking about.
Is that something that you even want to do? Like just so we know, is that something you want to pursue if the money's there to put something in that hangar?
Personally, to me, I don't want to stay out there hanging.
Well, we're not going to make you stay out there. all the time,
Right, I
but-
understand. I just, I think it could be spent somewhere else and better for the taxpayers.
Just as a member of the court, I'm not really anxious to get into the housing business. I realize we had the house
Right.
and that was a great asset, but we don't now.
I'd try to stay out of that.
But by doing that, then you lose the 54,000, right?
Well,
No, it can be spent elsewhere.
but yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If it's not restricted and we use all the 124 and then we get the 54 anyway, we don't necessarily have to build to.
And I don't know if
either.
the entire 155 has to be spent on
54.
one project, or if
Right.
you can split it up amongst a couple of
Right,
projects,
so
so I
the-
can get
Can we get
more
some
clarification
yeah.
on that.
I think, sounds like we just need some more information and,
Because if it's not restricted, we don't even have to build, we can get it still. too.
yeah.
Do what?
Because I said if it's not restricted, we could still get that money back and not have to build if we don't.
Well, you're gonna have to spend 120 some plus the 54 to get all the 54. Or you won't get it, so.
Right.
Some of those improvements out there, they add up pretty quick, I'm sure. Camera systems aren't cheap.
If you build more than one project, then
Right.
that's great.
Yeah. Well, you could put the apartment as the last resort to spend money on if you had to.
Yeah, I think if Gary and Lee want to get together and come back to the court with a plan, since we have, what'd y'all say, 2 years to kind of come up with it? I say let's revisit it in September.
Sounds good.
Well, whenever y'all get it together.
Yeah, just.
Yeah,
whenever.
Okay, so we'll just, no action that item. And
do we have to table it or we just say no action?
I think we can no action at this point and revisit it at a later time when we have more information.
Sounds awesome.
Okay.
And I'll get that information about whether you can do multiple projects.
Okay,
Perfect. Great. Thanks, Alicia.
appreciate it.
All right, item 13 is to consider and or approve purchasing 2 new mowers through buy board and trading into used mowers. Dwayne,
Morning.
good morning.
I sent y'all the copies of the buy board quotes that we received on these 3 mowers.
Yes,
Okay, everybody got those?
yes.
Okay,
You guys got all that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
it looks a little more simple. It looks like it's a really easy decision, but it's really not. I'm gonna give you all a little bit of background on what we're looking at here. In 2018, we got 6 of these mowers. We tried to place them every 5 to 7 years.
Mhm.
2018, John Deere came in with the low bid, just like they did this time, and we bought 2 of them. We were never happy with those mowers. We didn't like them. We had suspension trouble with them. They didn't cut like we wanted them to. Couple years later, 2020, we bid 2 more mowers to get rid of. John Deere had completely changed the design of the mower, the part we were having troubles with and didn't like. They changed that. We thought that would be something positive thing. We bought 2 more. So now we got 4 of these mowers and we are really not happy with these mowers. We don't like the performance. We don't like the suspension, the way it's set up. I think they're just a little bit poorer quality. But my suggestion that I would like to do is out of the top 2 bids, I think both of those are great mowers. With the county has owned these mowers in the past. I would like to take the lower bid of the top 2 front runners and go with the Rhino mower. And I have the money in my budget to do that rather than take the lowest possible bid of the John Deere. I think down the road, I think we'll be ahead because we've learned a lot since 2018 about these mowers and it's a tough job to mow these county bar ditches. They won't hold up. We're one of these John Deere mowers, we already put a whole complete new suspension on it. And they haven't even had them for the 5 years yet. But it's y'all's decision. I just wanted to let you know kind of what I thought about it and give you something to work with. There is a little bit of money difference, but I think down the road, I think this Rhino will be a lot better mower than what we're pulling right now.
Are you talking about the Panhandle implement one?
Yes,
Is the
ma'am.
one you wanted to?
That's the one I'd like to.
You guys have anything? Any questions for Dwayne?
Are there any trade-ins on? this?
Yes, there is 2 trade-ins. We have 2 2016 brush hogs. We're trading both of those in. Like
Oh,
I
is
say,
that with the down payment, the 13,000?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, they're listed over here on the left-hand side where it says brush hog in that column. And like I say, every 5 years, 6 years is about what we get out of them before we really start dumping a lot of money into them. But these are 8 years old because we have real light mowing seasons the last 2 years. This year's not gonna be like.
Might be a little more.
Yeah, we're way behind that.
Yeah.
And the availability on these, they probably will, he says maybe 60 to 90 days on the Rhino, 60 to 90 days on the Deere's boats. Timeframe's about the same on delivery. We'll have this mowing season pretty much knocked out before we get them. They'll be ready to go for next year.
And you have this money in your budget, right?
Yes, ma'am. Right now I have 46,802. And these are the last 2 items I have budgeted to purchase this year.
Anybody got any questions for Dwayne or do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we go ahead and purchase the second bid of the top 2.
The Rhino bid, the Panhandle.
Panhandle implement?
I have one more question.
Mhm.
Before we had talked about doing trade-ins and purchases separate. Do we want to still do that on to approve the trade-in back, because they're getting what, 6,500 a piece for the trade-in.
Right.
And then the purchase price is 57, I think is what it is.
57,888.
888. Oh, yeah, I just talked about that before. I just wanted to
I mean, do you think
make sure that
there's
there's say with the trade-in value.
any chance that we could get any better trade-in? Going like
Well, the-
auction or something?
The
I
price,
don't,
sorry, go ahead.
I don't think so. I mean, if you'll notice, some of these people did give more money for the trade-ins. But I feel like they elevated the price of their product to allow more for trade-ins.
Right.
It seems like.
That's what I was gonna say. The John Deere price is different because of the trade-in value, not because of the mowers that we were gonna buy.
Yes, and the last two times we bought them, that was the big issue with
Yeah.
with the trade-in. I mean, they're giving a lot of money for trade-ins.
I don't know. That's not my world. I don't know about the trade-ins for brush hogs.
What's your motion, Gary? Like,
My motion is to go ahead and buy the lowest bid of the top two.
and him
From-
implement
Yeah, Panhandle implement,
to include the trade-in
trade-ins,
listed?
yes.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Any further discussion on the mowers? All in favor? What happened to Dwight?
He's still there, but I think he turned his.
Oh, okay. Dwight, are you there? Maybe he had to take a minute.
Go-
Okay, well, I guess he abstains from that vote.
Gotta go.
He left, Dwight has left the room. Thank you. And then I think you have another one, right? Yeah. The item 14 is to consider and or approve the interlocal agreement with the city of Borger for asphalt millings at the airport. Did you get that back from Craig?
Yes,
Okay, good.
Craig sent me an email and said he had no legal objections to the way it was written or the way it was done. He said everything looked good. What this is the city of Borger Street Department is wanting access to use those buildings we have at the airport to do some alley repairs and do some stuff like that. They'll be using their own loader, their own trucks. We won't be involved at all, other than the county giving them the right to get those, donate those to them. And let them
Sounds
use
perfect. There's a big pile.
them. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they'll use bunches of.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get rid of that pile before they have to mill the airport again.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a bunch.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. So, but that's what they contacted me about that. So.
Okay. And you have the agreement? Do you have it with you?
You have-
Yeah, I don't have one. I don't, I think you just told me that you're waiting to get it back from Craig.
That's the
Okay.
agreement right there.
All
I
right.
thought I sent it also, but maybe I didn't.
No, that's fine. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with the city of Borger for the asphalt millings at the airport.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The internet, I guess, lagged or stopped. I can't get the video to come on, but I voted yes on both, on the other one and this one.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for letting us
Sorry.
know.
I don't know what's happening.
Give us, I'll ask for a voice vote from you, okay?
I'm sorry. Okay.
When you get that done, Kelly, I'll get it to the city, and that way the city can sign their part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 15, consider and or approve moving cell phone allowance to miscellaneous line item for Constable Precinct 2. Angelica.
Hello. So, all I'm wanting to do is to move everything from my payroll stuff down to my operating budget. For the cell phone, I want to connect it to the tablet that I already have existing, so it's the AT&T FirstNet line. It'll only be $38.49, which will bring my cost down, so it won't be up at the $50 mark anymore. It'll be down to that. He gave me like 6 different options for free phones, so I won't have to do that, but I think it'll be a lot better anyway, because if I ever leave or get replaced, that will be a department phone that, you know, we can put up on the internet and that can be a constant, so that way that phone number is not changing, things like that. So.
Okay, thank you.
There's $200 available left in her cell phone allowance. That's for June through September. That would. I mean, we don't need the whole 50. You said it was 38.
3849.
Yeah, but I don't know what like if there's any
Taxes,
taxes
yes,
and
there should be
anything,
some
so
taxes.
that'll hopefully help me with budget for next year. That'll probably change. So that way I can better budget that next year too, to be more on the mark. So hopefully the next couple months of bills will kind of let me know what that would be.
Any questions for Angelica?
Is that the same line item we did for the other constables, the miscellaneous, or did we put it somewhere else?
Equipment.
He actually had an equipment line item, but I don't
Oh, yeah.
believe that she's
don't.
got one, so we have to put it in the miscellaneous until budget time, and we can maybe add its own line item.
I move to approve moving the cell phone allowance to the miscellaneous line item for precinct 2 constable.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion?
And that's to move the entire $200.
Yes.
All in favor? Dwight?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. All right, item 16, consider and or approve request from Denise Leday for reinstatement of accrued vacation time from previous employment with Hutchinson County. Denise, you want to come speak to that? And I'll let you explain, Denise, explain this to you. I may not have actually put the words down that make the most sense, but anyway.
Forgive me, I'm nervous.
We won't bite more than once.
I just want to start with saying that I love working for this county and I enjoyed it the whole time that I worked here before my previous employment. And I didn't have any intentions of leaving. I know the county policy says that you have to have the continuous employment. But I have been a loyal employee. I continue to help in other departments and things with my previous knowledge in my role now. And the only reason that I think that I can come here was because the policies manual does say that the Commissioner's Court reserves the right to change this document at any time. And so I just wanted to see if there was any possibility that there could be an exception in my case to be able to continue on my, I had 13 years and 11 months. And now I've been here 8 months, 4 months, since Judge Wasson hired me. And I just was wanting to see if there was any way that y'all would allow that to become a possibility.
And I just wanted to come in support of her as her supervisor. Obviously, I would be the one that it would directly affect for her to have that vacation time back. But I do stand in support of her having that if y'all were willing to make that exception to the policy. You know, unfortunately, the way that it fell, she was just kind of a victim of circumstance. She's definitely showed her loyalty to the county, not just the one department that she was in, but even now being in my office, she still gets asked questions. You know, her knowledge is invaluable to this county, and she's an awesome employee, and I think that she deserves that if that would be something that y'all would be willing to consider for her.
Y'all have any questions for Denise?
My question is not so much for Denise as it is for the treasurer's office. I know that vacation is just a benefit of the county, and changing personally, I love Denise personally. I know her very well. Basically was part of her children growing up, and but regarding a policy, this would set a precedence for any decision the court makes. If we could regarding the circumstance, or actually not taking in consideration the circumstance, whatever decision we make today can set a precedence for the entire county. So just want to keep that in mind with all of us. But also, go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, that was gonna be my question. In the past, how many times have we encountered this, and what has been done in the past? I know a lot of us are new, so I don't know if.
To my knowledge, no one has asked for that. our policy does state that vacation is earned after completing 1 year of continuous employment. And so we do have a number of people that have left the county and come back. And it is just my opinion that if we do for one, we will have to do for all.
I agree.
I was just,
And this would also apply to, I mean, if you're gonna apply it to one benefit, then it's also gonna apply to other benefits. I mean, if there were to be
Potentially, yeah.
potentially,
Mhm.
so whether it be
Potentially.
insurances or sick time or anything of that nature.
I was just hoping that maybe it could be that if somebody felt compelled to come to the commissioner's court to request that because they felt like they might deserve it, not that I say it, but anyways, that maybe that could be, the precedent that said that because I came to y'all. And I had to try. And I
Sure.
shouldn't blame myself if I didn't try.
Right.
And I don't know also currently if there's anybody, I know some people have left on their own accord and come back. I don't know if there's anybody currently who has left under those circumstances and then come back at the next available opportunity, but.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing about that is then you start setting intent on like what if somebody left on their own accord, but it was due to like family illness or like you get into a lot of gray areas on was it really their choice? Like, so it's just, yeah. This is the hard part about doing this stuff, is having to choose business, like,
I was just hoping maybe because I had that many years.
Yeah.
Would be why.
well, I get it. You've been a great employee and
Thank you.
I hated to see you go on the first time. I was glad that we got you back for sure.
Yes, and I
You're-
enjoy it very much. And I will
Yes.
happily continue to work regardless of today. I just, wanted to try.
Right.
And one of the things in the policy manual, it does talk about the 7 continuous years. And I did make 7 continuous years in my previous employment. I don't know, I mean, that's just kind of up to interpretation in the manual, but maybe there was even a consideration there. But
Do I have any more questions for Denise?
So I don't think I have any for her.
Anybody have anything else or want to make a motion? Oh. Okay, do you want to just make a motion to take no action on that or deny the request or approve the request?
So I will tell you exactly where I stand. I think we need to do that as commissioners court when you come to, and I do appreciate you coming here because I know it takes a lot of energy and I mean, a lot of people do get really nervous coming up here. I think, and I do respect that you did that. I know it takes a lot. Going forward, if we do set that precedent, then everybody will know that they just have to come here and do it. And so I think we'd see a lot of an influx on that. I just don't know.
I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that everybody wouldn't come.
Yeah. I just don't know.
I mean, they may or may not, but I think if the opportunity presents itself, they
Right.
will.
It's a hard one.
It is. very-
Because I mean, I hate the way that,
To make it across the board policy.
Policy.
And not expect
Yeah.
everybody to come and ask for it. It would just kind of be, if this is what we're changing policy to, then it would apply to everyone.
Right.
Because you can't discriminate and just say this one's for you and this is not for you.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a possibility that the policy manual committee could revisit this and set some kind of guidelines, like if you earned X number of years and you came back, you get that back. But if I don't know. Might be some numbers there, but that's probably something to look at some point, if that's what we wanted to do. But because of right now, our policy does state continuous employment. It wouldn't be my thought to just give back to one employee. We either need to set a policy or stick with the one we've got.
I don't think it has anything to do with whether you deserve it or not.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Like I said, just had to try.
Okay, do y'all have anything else? Do you want to discuss this some more or table it to look into it more or? What are y'all's thoughts? Dwight, you got a thought? Can Dwight hear us? Dwight's frozen.
He's in deep thought.
Deep in thought.
Man, I just, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're frozen.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on with the internet.
Okay.
It says my internet is unstable,
No.
much like me personally.
I was
I'm
gonna
sorry,
say
it's
that.
not working. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Watch it. Unfortunately, I would move to deny the request at this time.
Is that a motion?
I think he had more to say, though.
Yeah, I think you did, but
Yes, if y'all can hear me.
yeah,
Yes, we can.
okay.
Oh, that's all right. It froze.
Okay. Right. Okay, well. We have a motion to deny the request. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We might get the policy committee back together and take a look at some of that, maybe. So we have a motion and second. Any further discussion on that?
Well, if you're gonna have I do want to say, if you're gonna plan to get the policy committee together, like, we might have to revisit that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always table it, but.
Yeah, we can put it back on the,
Typically for her, it would be countywide.
yeah.
Right.
So it would apply to her.
Yeah. Not necessarily this actual agenda item. So, all right, so all in favor of denying the request, say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? Dwight, are you voting? He's frozen. Thanks, Denise. We appreciate you.
Very much.
Hey.
Thank you.
Denise, thank you.
We do appreciate you.
Yes, we do. I'm so glad you're back with us. All right, item 17 is to consider and or approve the county specific incentive program. So this is our yearly requirement for the annual physical. If you do not get your annual physical for any year, calendar or not calendar year, budget year, then you're charged the $25 a month, kind of like penalty for not getting that. So if we want to continue with our current county incentive, specific incentive program, then they just need this paperwork. And the only one we have is just that annual physical. Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
The county specific incentive program for the 23-24 plan year.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, Dwight's back.
I'm back.
Okay. All right, item 18 is to consider and or approve designation of officer for our tax rate calculation. That is Carrie Kimmel. We designated her last year and we just need to reappoint her as our officer for tax rate calculation.
I'm moved to appoint Carrie Kimmel as our tax rate officer.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Oh, the topic we have, oh no, we've got one more. Consider and or approve renewal of property insurance. Alicia, did you have anything to add on this?
No, we did our renewal paperwork and they sent over the new amount for next year's property tax, it came in at 112,128. They said it was about a 30% increase.
Yeah, do you know what we paid last year for sure? Thought I looked that up once. Now I can't remember.
Put that on my notes.
It's kind of something we have to do though.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Last year it was 79 or 71. Oh, wait,
Six.
sorry, that was the year prior to that.
So do you think, did everybody get like an increase? We're not just
It was,
county specific because,
sorry, it was 93. So it went from 79 to 93 last year to 112 this year.
okay. Anybody got any questions for Alicia on that?
20,000 a year. Yeah.
Do I hear a motion?
I also move.
Okay. We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and second to approve the renewal of our property insurance. All in favor? Okay, great. Okay, item 20 is to consider and or approve health insurance renewal for 2023-24. And Charlotte is here patiently waiting. We go through all this business. Thank you, Charlotte. You are welcome.
I've got one.
Okay. Yeah, they-
Oh, I'll check this.
Oh, yeah, I printed mine
You
out.
printed yours?
Yeah, I printed it.
So do you have yours printed?
Oh, shit about my glasses. You can scoot that over a little bit if you're more comfortable with that. Yeah, that's perfect. Joe.
All right. Thanks for having me over.
Well, thank you for being patient with us.
Oh, no problem at all. So I think all of you have probably had a chance to look this over, but I wanted to run through your increase from TAC and what other markets look like when we talk to them. But let's start with your claims experience. So the way we lay this out is on this first page, after the cover page, is the claims experience for the 12-month period that ran March 2023 through April 2022. And this page is specifically for your copay plan. So on the copay plan for that 12-month period, we averaged 31 covering just themselves, employee only. I'm sorry, all subscribers, 31 with an average member count of 36. So some of those 31 employees actually had a dependent on the plan. So total membership on the plan was 36. The total contribution, this is your contribution and what you pulled from employees' paychecks for that time period, was $489,737 with medical spend of $316,900, pharmacy spend of $145,000. So a total plan spend of $462,000. So you ran close to 100% paid loss ratio. This is on a paid basis, not an incurred basis, but not exactly 100%, but it's still not great. It's not where an insurance carrier wants to see your numbers come in. And then your high deductible health plan is on the next page. And you'll remember we put this in right after Obamacare came out. So 2015, 2016, I believe. On this plan, we had 81 employees that chose this plan with an average member count of 114. So when we first put this plan in, of course, most people would stay with the copay plan, but through the years with the education that we give them at open enrollment, they see the value in moving to the health savings account compatible plan. So we have a heavier membership there. So you paid in $1,081,000 over that 12-month period.
Medical spend of 1,000,006, pharmacy spend was pretty low, 143,672. If you look back to your copay plan, it ran less than the copay plan. And that's because everything's subject to the deductible. So the people with the more expensive meds are picking that copay plan so that they don't have to pay for those drugs all up front. They can just apply a copay to it. So you had a total spend on that plan of 1,762,000. So really high claims experience on the high deductible health plan. Okay, and then this next page, we get any claimant, I should say, that had in excess of $10,000 in claims, and you had 18 of those. So those 18 people spent $2,029,000. Okay, that's pretty typical. What you normally see is 80% or 20% of your population spends 80% of your dollars. And y'all are actually a little more than that. But I wanted to point out that your second large claimant is an underage 65 retiree. You had 3 of those. So that person hit your plan pretty hard at $624,000. And then you go up, number 3 is at 183,572, and then all the way down. So on that next page, we just combined that for you, took those 2 plans. And so your total contribution to Blue Cross Blue Shield was $1,571,162. Total spend $2,224,000. So when I go to market with that, I don't have anybody interested in looking at it because every single year your plan's running 100% paid loss ratio or more. And you just have an aging population. You have some pretty high claimants. So I want to also say, if you look at that $2,224,000 spend, 18 people have spent $2,029,000 of that. So the majority of your folks are not having hardly any in claims. It's those 18 people spending all the dollars. Okay. All right. So on the next page, we just laid out on the first left-hand side, your HSA compatible plan. At the top, I gave you the actual rates that they're billing right now for employee only at 1056.56, and then you can see the child, the spouse, and the family below that. And then the renewal rates to the right of that. So for a 9.9% increase. TAG does not have a high deductible health plan that is any higher than that. What we typically see in the private sector is that, because your plan is a $5,000 deductible and then pays 100% after that deductible's been met. In the private sector, we can get a $5,000 deductible and then an 80-20 split with an out-of-pocket max of as high as $8,150. They do not have any plan that does that. So this is the only HSA compatible plan that you can have unless you wanted to increase the cost. Excuse me. So again, the benefits are down below that. Again, out-of-pocket max is $5,000 because you've got a $5,000 deductible, then they pay 100% of everything. Okay. So then I put your employer contribution, what you're currently contributing by tier to that plan. So the county's cost for that plan, based on the current enrollment on that plan, comes out to $1,038,191.16 a year under the current rates. And under the renewal rates to the right of that is the $1,149,777. And that this sheet is just based on, and it's down below, it's in bold. We base this strategy, funding strategy, based on your current percentage split between the employee and the employer cost. Okay. So whatever percentage you're currently contributing to that rate is what we kept going into the next plan year. So I've shown you 3 strategies. So if you went with this strategy, it would increase your cost, excuse me, just a little over $1 million a year. Okay. I'm sorry, not $1 million, It goes from the 1,429 to 1,569. It was like, just a little over.
Well, just,
Just a little, okay, over $100,000. And beneath that, I showed you what it would do to the employees deduction. So again, we kept this HSA plan at no cost to the employee. And based on that contribution strategy, it raises those with children from 511 to 562, 1103 to 1222 for those with spouse, and then family 1582 to 1739. Okay, same strategy on the copay plan. So again, at the top, you can see your current rates for the copay plan versus the renewal rates that go up 9.9%. Your copay plan has a $2,500 deductible, and then it's an 80-60 split. So I'm sorry, 80-20 split. 80% after the deductible's met on everything other than the items that require a copayment. So when you go to your office visit setting for primary care, they're paying a $40 copayment. When they go to a specialist, they're paying a $50 copayment. Doesn't matter if the deductible's met or not. When they go to the ER, they're paying a $150 copayment, which is really low. We see those more in the $750 range. But unfortunately, TAC only offers cookie cutter plans, so we can't mess with those. Then you have a deductible before they can access the copay on their prescription drug card of $100. And the prescription drug copays are either $10, $30, or $50, depending upon what tier of drug that they're purchasing. Okay. No change in that on the renewal offering. Benefits would stay the same. And if we kept the same contribution strategy percentage-wise that you have right now, the county's cost would go from $391.2 to $428.6. And then down beneath that, you can see what the employee deductions would look like. So those covering just themselves would go from the $125.81 to $143, and you have 23 people that just covered themselves on that plan. You have 2 with children, they would go from $770 to $852, so pretty good jump. 1 with spouse coverage, 1 to 14, or from $1454 to $1586. Okay, you don't have anyone covering families on the copay plan or the high deductible health plan. I also wanted to look at 2 different alternatives to the current copay plan you're on to try to lower that increase. So that's what option 1 and option 2 are. Option 1 would increase your deductible from $2,500 to $3,000. It's still that 80-20 split. But your co-insurance maximum would bump from $43.50 currently to, I'm sorry, it would go down to $41.50. So they would have an increase in their deductible of $500, and then their co-insurance max would drop by that $200. So really it's a net increase to them of $300. But the copays are going to stay exactly the same as what they are right now. So when they go to the doctor, when they pick up prescriptions, they're not going to see any difference on that.
So that would be just if they had some big event, like they had to have knee surgery or something, they'd be out.
300 more.
Okay.
If it was where they hit maximum, because the deductible goes up $500, but the out-of-pocket max on the co-insurance goes down $200 from $43.50 down to $41.50. So the employer cost would go from, it would save you $10,000 a year. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's a $10,000 a year savings. And it's going to drop, you can see at the bottom under option 1, it would drop their deductions down just a little bit.
But it raises their overall input throughout the year with the higher deductible.
About
$300.
Worst case scenario, it raises them $300.
Yeah.
So if they were to have a blowout, it's going to cost them $300 more in a year.
Yeah.
But that's an overall increase over your current plan, 7.33%. Option 2 is going to drop you down to 4.43% increase, but it's going to raise the deductible by $1,000. Still an 80-20 split. It's going to increase the co-insurance maximum by $300. So they're looking at $1,300 more a year in worst case scenario. But again, copays are going to stay the same. And that's what most people are using, or just their copays. So the direct copays, the doctor office copays, those remain exactly the same. So that would drop the county's contribution from $428,641 under the renewal down to $407,331. And then it would be much less increase to the employee. But again, in the overall picture, when you add in the HSA, because you're more heavily enrolled there, the overall increase, if you renewed just like you are and kept your contribution strategy as it is right now, percentage wise, you're at a 9, and I'm right in here, 9.81% increase. Where if you just switched out the copay plan to option 1, it drops it to 9.11 overall increase, option 2, 8.32. Because I've added the HSA plan in with the 80-20 plan. Does that make sense? Had to add with, and that's the majority of your spend and employee spend is on that HSA compatible plan. Because we're more heavily enrolled there. All right, any questions about that before we look at the next page?
So Charlotte, all of the employees have, or not all, but probably about 10 have reached out to me over the 2.5 years, 10 or more. And one of their complaints, even though we've heard all the reasoning why, is that they don't really feel like we're doing our due diligence, or y'all's not doing your due diligence to go out to other companies. I know that TAC is a pool kind of entity where it has the insurance pool, but one of the aspects that our employees, and I've heard it the last 2.5 years, is that we get denied because of our claims and all the other stuff, which I understand that. I know that last year, I believe Chris or somebody asked if we could see those denial letters, and I have yet to see those. And the reason why I'm asking for that.
Yeah, they brought them last year.
I brought them last year.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Our employees just feel like we're not doing our due diligence. And I guess I just wanted to go on record to the insurance is very high, and I understand the reason why with that. But man, I don't know exactly. TAC told us pretty much the same information last meeting. That we were looking at about a 9 to 10 point increase.
9.9.
Yeah, increase last meeting. And so I'm trying to figure out, there's not an option. So we're basically, other than the options you gave us, we're still going to raise it for pretty much the same for our employees. It's still going to be pretty high insurance for families, spouses, and everyone else. There's no other option.
Okay, so some other options you could look at, and it's not anything I do in my office, so you would need to use someone else, are not real insurance options. They're called share programs. So if you are in the individual market, that's where they started after Obamacare came out. You're familiar with them, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's not a true insurance program, and it's called a group share product. So they can cherry pick, they can look at your claims experience of your employees, they can add pre-existing condition clauses, they have limits on what's payable. It's not an insurance product. There are a lot of brokers, consultants, which is what I am, that do offer those. We don't, because my E&O coverage, my errors and omission coverage doesn't cover me if I have a complaint or something, we tell somebody something wrong. Okay, so That's an option. There are also, excuse me, certain consultants offering, so if you could get a stop loss quote, and I shop stop loss markets too. I go to the market every year and I have those denial letters. So I brought them last year. But what they put in is in these stop loss plans, and we do a lot of self-funding in our office, is what's called reference-based pricing. So reference-based pricing has no network. Like you have a network that Blue Cross has gone out and negotiated and contracted with doctors. What they do is they pay a percentage of Medicare. So they come in and say, we're going to save you all this money because we're going to pay a percentage of Medicare. Well, we handled BSA's hospitals insurance and Northwest until they sold for years and years. Sorry, I have a head cold. And they have told us that what these consultants are telling their clients that they're getting in a percentage of Medicare discount is not any better than what Blue Cross has or what Omni network that IMS and Amarillo, their TPA owns. So when they do get reimbursed at that much lesser rate, and you're using a provider that won't accept it, ESA won't. Covenant Health System in Lubbock will not, and a lot of providers won't. Then what happens is I have an emergency surgery and the doctor charges, I'm making up numbers, $30,000. And they say, well, all we pay for that's 140% of Medicare. That doctor doesn't have to take it. And I've had a client that left me, went through a program like this and ended up with a $60,000 bill at Covenant. And they said, we're not going to write it off. And so they turned her over to collection for it. So there are some, what I'm going to call gimmicky things out there. It's not something I represent. So when I send you to market, I go to all my stop loss carriers and we work with about 20. And then we go to United Healthcare. We cannot go to Blue Direct. It's not going to be any different. They just now strictly work with TAC, which when you first went with Blue Cross with me, it was direct to Blue through Upshaw. And then we look at Aetna and Cigna. So the Blue is Blue Cross, United, Cigna, Aetna, and then all of our different stop loss carriers. So if you're self-funded, you can use numerous different TPAs, third-party administrators to take care of it. But no, you're right. Your claims experience is not good. When I sent the enrollment and the claims experience for the last 3 years, which is what they require, I got a DTQ, a decline to quote letter from every one of them.
Okay. So with your services from Upshaw, what do you do different that TAC doesn't do?
So your employees call us for help instead of having to call into Blue Cross and press 1 for this and 2 for that. They call us directly, and then we take on the process of calling the insurance carrier and helping them work out their claims. I'm so sorry.
I don't have any firsthand experience, but I do know there's been a number of employees with the county that have called Charla or her office, and they have been able to get bills taken care of, get them corrected. I mean, they really go to bat for all of our employees.
Yes. So
About how many of those, I mean, I know you probably don't know this off the top of your head, but about how many a year do you have to mediate for our county? Do you know?
it varies by year, but I don't know, but we log all of those into your account in my system. I can pull that for you.
I would love that if that's okay, because there
I
was.
can't, I just can't tell you who it is that called.
Oh,
but I
that's,
can tell
yes,
you,
I understand.
I can tell you the number of inquiries we have. The other thing we do is we handle your open enrollment meetings. So when we put in the, when the county decided to put in the HSA compatible plan, we came out, and Gary Graham and I come every year and do your open enrollment meetings. And so we have a presentation to the employees, we give them handouts. We do the education of, you know, stay out of the freestanding emergency rooms, how a health savings account compares. We give them true claims data, like 3 different claims scenarios, how it's gonna pay under each one. So we're the educational piece and then the dealing with the insurance carrier piece. I worked for Blue Cross for 10 years, 30 years ago. I'm really dating myself here. But so we know them well. They're not the same company they used to be, but we know how to navigate that system instead of the employee having to call in and talk to Illinois. And now they're also outsourcing that to outside the country. So it's a frustrating process.
Well, I know my first year as commissioner, I had to have gallbladder surgery.
Mhm.
And, you know, I know this is probably not the place to say, but I had to, I called your office because I was told to, but I ended up having to call Blue Cross Blue Shield myself to get the surgery approved. Anyway, which I wasn't, that was not unfamiliar territory for me, being self insured pretty much my whole life anyway. So I'm accustomed to calling insurance companies for myself anyway. But I had to do that first year I was with the county insurance, and I've heard other employees state the same thing. They've had to call Blue Cross Blue Shield themselves to get something
They have
approved.
called our office to get an approval for a procedure where the
Yes.
Blue Cross has to approve the procedure. I can't approve the procedure. The provider, typically what happens is the employee's not ever calling in to get something approved. The provider sends the information in to get it approved. We can always check on it once the provider has done it, but if the employee's calling for an approval on a procedure, we can tell them that that procedure is covered, but maybe it requires a pre-authorization. So I'm not familiar with the two or the couple of circumstances that you're referring to. But I can look through everything we've logged, because we keep those logged.
A lot of times that's the provider not doing their job.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Part of the time, that's the provider not doing their job of getting the correct.
Yeah.
Pre-op authorization things.
Well, and
On that
I
aspect.
completely understand why.
Well, yeah, the foundation for my questions is because we got insurance is increasing, and we have to figure out a way to pay. And I know we pay a percentage, a certain amount, or it's roped into the premium or however that's paid.
It's per head employee.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
per
so-
employee per month, and it's
Yeah.
noted on the bottom of your presentation.
Yeah. So I know that we pay Upshaw, and my job is to see where we can trim some fat if need be to help provide the benefits for our
Absolutely.
employees. And
No,
so
I totally understand that.
I don't want you to feel like you're under a firing squad. 'Cause
No, not at all. I
definitely don't want that.
understand and appreciate that you have to do your job for the county.
Yes. Well, you've answered my questions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I will pull those reports within our system to look at, they're called activities, like
Okay,
for the
thank
last
you.
12 months for you. Okay. All right, so let's look at the second scenario, which is the next page. Again, the plans are exactly the same as the first one we talked about. We're basing the contribution to be right now, you're contributing $40.96 towards dependent cost. So we kept you paying 100% of the employee only on the HSA plan. And then that $40.96 that you contribute extra to dependent, that's all we left in there. Okay, so we didn't give the split. So what you're going to see is the employee cost goes up considerably under this scenario. So, but it keeps your cost lower. So on the HSA plan, under this scenario, it would take your annual cost from the $1,038,191 to the $1,140,000. But if you look at the bottom, it takes those employee rates from $511 to $566.10. And the spouse, you can see what it does there and on the family. So it's not that much more than the first scenario. until you get over into the copay plans, and then it goes up a little bit more. And then the third scenario is a split. So you split the increase with the employees. And again, the numbers don't change a lot, but they do change a little bit. This is going to be the highest scenario for those people on the copay plan or on the HSA plan. But I just wanted to give you 3 different ways to look at it. And we can model any scenario you want to see in a funding mechanism. One of the last things I want to talk to you about is on your HSA, because we do have such a high enrollment on the HSA plan. On that very last page, you have 81 people that are enrolled in that plan, and right now you're contributing $1,500 a year into their HSA plan. So that totals $121,500. If you were to back that down to $1,000, it's a $40,500 savings, which would help you offset, the increased sum. I will tell you that $1,500 is very generous. Most employers are not giving that high. And because you have so many people that have been on it long enough, you've had it in place, that hopefully they've built up some money, because remember, it's not a use it or lose it. It carries forward every single year for them. And this is your no-cost plan. So if they're choosing this plan, remember, they're not having to pay any premium just on themselves. So I just wanted you to see what it would save if you were to back that down just a little bit. We started at the $1,500 with our employees as well. We've got the exact same situation you have, rates going up. We've backed down to $500 now. So we just kind of look at it on a year by year. Based on what's going on with our premiums and what we can afford to spend at that time. Okay, Dwight, I'm going to give you one more plug for Upshot. Okay. So when Obamacare came out, we had grandfathered plans, and if you did certain things, you would lose being grandfathered. And a lot of people thought that being grandfathered was a huge deal. And TAC was one of them. So the year that we wanted to put in the HSA plan to help bring the premium down, TAC told me no, wasn't going to happen, because it would make their entire pool lose their grandfathered status, which wasn't true. So we had to take all the information, send to TAC, and show them that you could put in a second plan and still keep their pool grandfathered. They still didn't believe it. So finally I just said, because one of the reasons that you could lose your grandfathered status is if you started charging employees more than 5%. I said, okay, so the county's going to start charging 10% more than they were before. Your whole pool is going to lose their grandfathered status. They go, no. I said, that's what you've been telling me, that if you make any change, the whole pool loses. So in the end, they allowed Hutchinson County to put in a second plan where they weren't going to, had someone not checked them, I guess is the best word. We keep an attorney on staff that helps with all those compliance things. While insurance is still very important, it's probably one of the lesser things we do now, because there's so much compliance that came to employers out of Obamacare. And so we're monitoring that all the time. Amy and I have talked about it a lot. Kathy and I, through the years, I mean, we worked extensively together on that. So that's what I think we bring to the table. It's what I know we bring to the table amongst helping as long as as well as helping your employees. And especially those enrollment meetings and educating them and letting them know they have someone local that will, go to bat for them. And again, I'm gonna look into the situations that you told me about and look to see what that is, but part of that could be on us, but a lot of it is, like Chris said, it's the provider not doing what they're supposed to do initially. So. Okay. Any questions?
That's a lot.
It is, it is a lot of money. I understand that. And I totally understand that you're looking to see if there are ways that you can cut the cost. And I appreciate that. I'm a business owner. I know you have to do what's best. But I truly believe we bring value to Hutchinson County. If you want to discuss that further, I'm open to that. But you let me know what you need from me and I will get it for you. And I look forward to visiting with you again. Okay. You don't have any questions for me?
You guys have any questions for Charlotte?
All right. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Charlotte.
you,
We
Charlotte.
appreciate you.
You're welcome. Appreciate you as well.
Good information. I'll take a big copy because
Okay.
luckily Kelly let me look at hers because I thought, oh my gosh, I can't even read without my glasses. Thank you. Carla, I don't know that this matters and maybe this information, but our 18 top claimants, are they predominantly the 80-20 or HSA, or it doesn't matter?
They're bound to be, if you look at the numbers. So your total spend on the 80-20 plan was $462,000. Okay. And your 18 people had spend of 2 million. So they're primarily the HSA plan because claimant number one has $700,000 in spend. So claimant number one has more than the whole copay plan paid out.
Okay.
So we know that claimant number one has to be on the HSA plan, same as claimant number two. And then when you get down to claimant 3 and below, it's going to be a mixture, but the majority of them are going to be on the health savings account plan. They are. And, like these in the less than $20,000 range, or probably even less than the 30, those can be what we call one and done.
Right.
They had something that's fixed. they moved on.
Rotator or
But
knee
when
replacement.
we look back at last year's and the year before, unfortunately, a downside to being with TAC is they won't tell us who these people are.
Well, we probably don't need to know
Well,
that.
but as a consultant and going to market, it helps to know who they are or what the condition is. Is it chronic? Is it ongoing? Is it a one and done? Because like during COVID, we saw those really large claims.
Right.
And the people had passed or they were better. And so when we went to market, we could give them that information.
Yes.
You can't do that when somebody holds all the info so close to the chest.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? You're welcome.
Okay. So, we have to make a decision on what we're going to do with our insurance. We have to do that by our second meeting this month, which is the 26th, because we have to give Amy and Kim some time to get it, all the figures to TAC, because it has to be into them by the 28th. Correct? Yes. So. Does anybody have any thoughts on what direction they want to go in, or? You've got the numbers that Amy gave you also.
Yeah, I know that TAC did their presentation last week. And then Charlotte to this week, or last meeting, and Charlotte this meeting.
Mhm.
Is there any way to get them both together in the same room? Or is that, it probably wouldn't matter. The numbers are gonna be the
Well,
numbers.
Yeah, the numbers, I mean, what TAC basically was given us was our percentage increase, the 9.9.
Cause we're
That's
basically,
not gonna change.
we're basically saying, Charlotte, sign us up with TAC.
Well, it's how we want to approach that. Do we want to just leave everything exactly the same? Do we want to increase deductibles? Do we want to decrease the monthly
Yeah,
allowance?
but any
the HSA?
decision we make is just sign us up with TAC.
Yeah, but
It's
there's no
just the
other,
percentage. Yeah.
there's no other decision.
Well, I mean, if we leave TAC, then we're probably,
Well,
we'd have to insure ourselves and we don't want to go there.
So that, and I will say the group share stuff as an entity that has over 100 people, it would be a nightmare. Like
Oh,
group-
gosh, yes.
Group share is better in families and groups that are like maybe 4 or
Smaller.
5 people, but having over 100 employees, the only option we have is to try to dissect this the next 2 weeks and
Figure out how we
decision
can
on where we're putting the burden.
maintain, yeah, without,
And what you're really making the decision on is how much of the county wants to pay for the increase. So we know that there's a 9.9% increase in the premiums, but we need to know, is the county gonna absorb 100% of that 9.9 increase? Are we going to put some of it onto the employees portion? So her first scenario, correct me if I'm wrong, the first scenario would be the county doing 100% of the increase, right?
No, the first scenario is
Oh, using the same percentage.
percent, so the percent which you're contributing, like here right now, we have the same, but applied it to the new.
Right. So like currently, if the county's paying, 75% of the employees' portion, they would continue to pay 75% just of the new renewal rate. And so then another one is we only pay $40.96, so we're gonna keep that, and then the employee would absorb the rest of the increase. So that's what Charlotte is explaining, is the difference of cost to the county. Whereas TAC was just saying, this is your increase period.
now you figure out how you want to, yeah, you have to figure out how you're gonna
Pay for it.
pay for that increase. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand all of that.
That 100% on the county.
Right. We've got it.
That starts.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, it would be a train wreck to move away from TAC.
The only thing we have to talk about as well on that is something I try to bring up every year is the under 65 retiree stuff is a wild card that some counties are getting away from that. Some counties are staying with it. So that's another thing we need to talk about as well. On top of the,
Right. I think last year, wasn't it, Lisa, you might correct me if I'm wrong, or Charlotte, I don't remember. We passed all the increase onto the retirees.
Yeah.
We didn't. up
Yeah,
our-
we did. I remember that.
For them. And unfortunately, that's,
we also
I-
don't even have to,
yeah, we don't have to.
that's fine.
I know that that's a perk to attract employees, that they can retire before 65 and they have part of their.
And still have insurance. Mhm.
But with your year in and year out, we have a retiree that's a top claimant. And so it affects your whole claims experience, which keeps you tied, stuck, with tax,
Mhm.
and not being able to look at other options. But now with you know, the marketplace open and people being able to get subsidies to help pay for their insurance. We are seeing a lot of people do away with their retiree coverage at age 65 because it is just hard to make.
Most of the counties I've talked to don't provide. Kind of ask around, but
In counties, and I don't know, this might be a tech question. I talk about that every year because I don't think that's the direction we need to go, but I'm also not going to vote for dropping it while we have somebody that needs that type of insurance in the middle of it, because I'm not going to do that. Is that something that you can say starting next year? We are not, like, can you grandfather people into that? And then, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So the ones that we cover now,
Policy.
yeah,
we can continue and then say under 65, nobody else.
from.
As they age off,
Right.
you're just not allowing anyone else onto the plan.
Mhm.
I think that's with all the other decisions we're gonna be needing to make in the next few months. That may be a direction we need to go, because this is gonna get larger and larger, and it's actually impacting our current employees and tying our hands on what we can prevent or provide for benefit for them. And it would break my heart as a employee of the county to realize that I'm hurting the people afterwards, you know? I don't know, just my brain.
Well, and I
Something,
just
I like
think
that.
when it was put in, when all the counties and even some private employers, employees did not have the same options they have now. And if they're retiring and they're under 65, they could possibly qualify for a large subsidy from the government to pay for their individual policy through an Obamacare plan. And they continually increase what that salary limit is, or the cap, that husband and wife having an income of probably $10,000, they're qualifying for subsidy, where in the beginning it wasn't that high. So there is a push government-wide to get people over to those individual plans.
Mhm.
I definitely need to crunch the numbers though, now that we have that. So I don't know what else we need to discuss about it. But
Well,
time to get to.
yeah, wrap your heads around this, and we'll come back to this. Because that is a lot. So, digest. And Charlotte, we really appreciate you coming and just laying all that out. Yeah, it's good to kind of, well, for me to see that on the paper. Appreciate it. And we may holler at you again if we have some more questions.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You too. Be careful. There's a huge cell. My emergency management coordinator just texted me with possibility of 2-inch hail. So
Where?
no,
Right here.
right here.
on top of us right now.
It's getting,
Everybody left.
although,
That's where they went.
They left and those two thought about it.
it's getting lighter out there, but
Oh, two.
yeah, so just be careful.
I saw it all unfold.
No.
Everybody was like, there's cars out there.
I think it's
We're like,
under us.
I know,
Um,
I hate this.
Okay, yeah.
Let's get going.
That's this right.
Drive safe. If y'all need to go,
Yeah, going northeast,
Going north.
northeast.
Okay, it's going to Perryton.
It looks like it's.
Okay,
the helper went south of us though.
y'all,
So it's the-
oh, great. Like border?
No, like Kyle across.
The hail threat, is it gone?
No, it's still there.
It's
Still there, but I think it's gonna be a little bit south.
South of us, it looks like.
All right, y'all, let's keep moving.
It's east of.
Okay, on item 20 for our health insurance renewal. Do I hear a motion to table that?
I'll make it
To table the discussion until next meeting.
and I'll second it.
All right. Now, given that information, well, let's take a vote. All in favor, say. Okay. All right, motion carries. All right, I would like to have y'all consider possibly scheduling a special meeting so we can come back and talk about this again before the 26th, so we don't leave everything, in case we have more questions. And I would propose that we meet next Monday on the 19th. Are y'all good with that? Chris?
I'm fine. I just don't think it's gonna change the discussion with next week or 2 weeks.
Well, I'd like to not wait till the last minute. So if we can meet on the 19th at 9:30, we'll have a special agenda, but that's all we talk about. And maybe try to get some decisions made. All right, so.
If we do, can we have? I mean, like Chris said, I don't really think this will change what we've already heard.
No,
But
it's not
can we
what we
have-
heard.
Can we have Kathy and Charlotte on speed dial if need be?
You mean Amy or,
No, Kathy from PAC.
oh,
Sorry.
Kathy Davenport?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna change any information that Kathy gave us.
Yes,
It's 9.9.
yeah,
It's just how we figure out how we can afford 9.9.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Item 21 is to consider and or approve credit card requests from various departments. We have one, correct?
Yes, we just have one from in at the county extension office. She just hadn't got her request in for a credit card yet. I'm just giving her a $1,500 limit as well. That'll leave $3,250 remaining in our countywide credit limit.
And you're good with that?
Yes.
So I move to approve the credit card request for the extension agent.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Need you guys to sign that, please. All right, item 22 is to consider and or approve proposal from DocuNav for Laserfish software for the auditor and treasurer's office. Lisa.
This is our document storage software. We've been using. We have what's called a United license, and they are doing away with those kind of licenses, so we can't get any new ones. Right now, we only have 2. So if Pam is in the Laserfish software and Amy's in it, I can't get it. So we got a quote to upgrade it to the cloud version. They came back a long time ago with a really big quote, like $13,000 or $15,000, something ridiculous. So we had to go out and look for something else. We did get Vista. It's the same software that the county clerk is using, and it is not working for our office. They told us that it would do mass scanning. But then after we got it installed and started working it doesn't do mass scanning, but they did give us a kind of a workaround to get it accomplished, but it slows our processes down really. Like it takes Pam probably twice as long to do it as it used to on Laserfish, and the margin of error to make mistakes is a lot bigger. So we're just asking that I spoke with Craig, and he said that he thinks that we've got grounds to terminate the contract that we have with Vista. To go ahead and cancel that and then go renew it with Laserfish. They came back, fortunately and unfortunately, if they'd given me this quote the first time,
You would have never left them. Yeah.
never left. We would have just rolled it on over and kept on going. But they didn't. So after I told them that we were leaving, they gave me a better quote. So the quote is $6,362.50 for the first year. That's just to get everything moved over from the United license to a cloud license. And then it'll be $4,887 the next year.
And that's split between your offices.
Yes, and that'll be split between me and the treasurer, And that gives us 5 licenses to use. So that both employees in both offices have one, and there's an extra if say Russell needs to do any kind of troubleshooting or something of that nature. They have a minimum pack, it comes with that. So we have an extra.
And when would this start?
The Laserfish, our current subscription is up in June. They actually are just letting us kind of hang out.
Day by day?
Yeah, day by
Okay.
day until you get this. So it would go ahead. Vista, I turned in the cancellation letter Thursday. I have not received anything back from them yet. But I did also send a physical copy, return receipt requested. To make sure that they got a copy of it.
So that's, y'all have the money this year to do it for both
Yes,
and both.
we have.
Move to approve the proposal for Laserfish software for the auditor and treasurer's office.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? I'll give that to you. Okay, item 23 is to consider and or approve moving the interest earned from our ARP fund to the general fund. So I think Lisa sent you all an email in regards to the interest so far that we've earned. And that there are no restrictions on that, correct?
Correct.
So-
At my conference, we had a section on the ARP funds, and this was brought up that the interest earned from these funds belongs to the county, not the actual grant itself. And so all of that money can be transferred over to the general fund with no restrictions. So it would just be included in our interest income each month.
I'll make a motion that we approve moving interest earned from the ARP fund to the general fund.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, item 24 is to consider and or approve the Visual Edge IT agreement. So we're back to the copiers again. And there was quite a lot of, there was a huge amount that was going to take us to buy out of those contracts that we had just got in, $40,000.
Well, some of them have been around for a while. Actually, the new ones that we got at, there's no buyout in that one because we did the non-appropriation addendum.
Right.
So if you look, there's no buyout for that brand new copier for the annex and the juvenile. It's all of the other ones.
It's all the other ones that we were in.
Done. Like they should have been done in the first place, but anyway, so the $40,000 would be to buy out the existing contracts, so we would have to pay that on top of anything that we signed from another company. We got a couple of other quotes, one from Rico. It came back at
I thought I had that.
60-month lease is going to be about $1,179 per month. Service would be $459 per month, and then if you wanted to do the buyout of the contract, they said they would finance the buyout, which would add another $600 onto the monthly. So the monthly, it actually came out to be, I mean, before the buyout, they all came up about the same. It's going to be about $2,100, $2,400, I think. But the buyout is the huge cost.
Right.
We're going to have to buy it out either way.
Plus there's that as well. There'll be a $200 to $500 ship back charge on any unit depending on the carrier.
I had a
don't
question
know
on
about
that, because if we're putting it out and we're owning it, why do we have to send them back?
Right. But then what are we gonna do with them?
I know, but
True.
I think I'm not gonna have a copier sale. I don't know
Right.
if we're out blowing that.
Copier
I
auction.
don't know. But that was my thing, is why do they want it back if it's ours? So, if we had to buy it out.
So if we went with the other one, we'd have to buy all new equipment, or we would own, they would be able to take up the
No, it
ones that
would
we
be all
bought out.
new
It'd be-
equipment. It would be all new equipment because each one does different brands, like Rico does Rico. This from CPI, they quoted Konica Minolta.
Yeah.
And then Visual Edge does Xerox machines. So I think the judge and I are kind of on the same page on this. Is, you know, it kind of looked. So I think what's best is to go ahead, consolidate now with
Visual Edge.
Visual Edge, and then we get it all on one contract, and then we can look again in a year or two and see, because there will be no buyout of the contract, because we have to, as a governmental entity, we have to do the non-appropriation clause.
So looking in a month or two, we get into this, it says it's not, it can't be terminated, but it's 63 months of term. So we wouldn't be able to look for 5 years.
Well, you would be able to, because every governmental contract has to have the non-appropriation.
So we have.
So
Yeah, I was about to say, every governmental entity has to be termable.
Well, that's
So
what I was
if you
gonna say.
look, so if you look at our
In that.
contract for the annex and the juvenile that we just entered into that has this
Oh, there it is.
appropriation clause. When they quoted us the buyout, there's no buyout on it.
For that contract.
I didn't see that at the bottom sheet chart. That's what I was just gonna ask about the,
And Craig has reviewed this again and it meets with his approval.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I move to approve the contract with Visual Edge as presented.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it. Or
Okay.
whoever wants to.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a question, and it might
Yes.
be, I might have overlooked it. Is this coming out of ARP funds? Is this coming
This is
40,000?
divided into everybody's budget, so everyone will get their little piece of the pie.
I mean, for the
Everybody.
buyout, the buyout
Oh,
stuff.
the buyout, we hadn't discussed that.
If you go with Visual Edge, there is no buyout.
There's no buyout.
Oh,
because we've
okay,
already got
I
them.
I
Yeah,
got confused. I heard 40,000 and that's all my brain stuck on.
right. No, there's
My left
5,
leg went numb and my nose started bleeding.
right, well, right, can't help you.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. All right, I like it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the copier machines? All in favor? Okay, great. All right, item 25, consider and or approve commissary services agreement and correctional communication services agreement. Marcel, do you know anything about this? Well, we may have to table these two because they're things from the jail. And the last I heard, Laura sent these over to me, that they had been sent to Craig for his approval, but I've heard nothing more. So I said, well, I'll put them on the agenda, but so it's just their I mean, we obviously will need to table these until someone can come speak to us, but who does their commissary and who provides their telephone services at the jail? What these are concerning. So do I have
I move to table those two items.
okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, item 26 is to consider and or approve any ARP grant projects. I think I have 3. Oh, Chris, was that your stomach? Alan?
Yes, dang, call me out like that.
Oh, sorry. Did y'all hear that?
Fasting all day.
I did.
It's been a long day.
Okay, the first one
I
is.
did all the way to Galveston.
Right, Hutchinson County Museum. Is that yours, Chris? For flooring at the museum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were gonna take this out of the building maintenance fund, once we got the tile down. About 3 weeks ago, one of the HVAC units broke, and we had a technician up there, and the compressor was it was kind of a shoddy job that they put a compressor in there that can't really be repaired, so they're gonna have to replace the whole thing up top with the crane, so that's gonna have to be done, obviously, for the summer, so we're gonna do that out of the building maintenance, and I decided to bring this to the ARP since we already did the tile. Just because we have about 9 to maybe 10,000 left in the budget for building maintenance there, so one of them's gonna knock out the.
Right.
So.
It's one or the other.
And with that tile, we were planning on doing other building maintenance, but it's got to be stripped and waxed, because if you don't, it ruins that tile. So it's got to be stripped down, the factory surface taken off, waxed to protect the actual tile. So we'll do the HVAC unit out of the maintenance, and then that was my presentation for this.
What's the HVAC system cost?
It's gonna be 8,800 with the crane, because they have to use the crane to put it up top.
Yeah.
It's the full unit on both. So, and I've talked with them. There's only one other unit probably that we're eyeing, and might have to replace it next year, but that's what I've got them kind of looking at each one to where there's not 3 down in a year. So just trying to, that one hadn't been replaced in probably 15 years or something. I can't remember what he told me, but it's on its last leg. So I don't know if you had any questions or anything like that. I'll move to
Who's doing the tile work?
Whit Flooring is the one that
Oh,
we
right.
approved for that, and they're doing an incredible job. It looks really good.
Good.
Like Clay said, I mean, it's bright in the place. We'll have to slowly start painting it now a little bit more, because it does bring out the
Yeah,
painting
imperfections, yeah.
And so I would move to approve that, unless you have any other questions.
So
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Our next project is at the library.
And this is the project that we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
About the roof. And I know it was brought up about the price, and I did take out the stuff that they're not gonna have to redo again, and that wasn't the, we were talking about the differences in the courthouse and stuff. When you take that out, it drops it to 1041 per square foot. So it's kind of in that ballpark. I just want to look that up, because I know we had that discussion last.
So it's going to be a total of 138
163.43, yes. We've got that 76.
to complete, right, to completely do the,
They're taking it down to the gypsum board.
right.
They're gonna
And who's
actually,
doing that?
that's Kelly Roofing.
Oh,
And so
okay,
the
right.
Good thing, they've got the son that's the architect, that he's helping with they're gonna actually put in a tapered system. That's the thing that costs like 84,000.
Right.
Put in the tapered system that should have been probably done at the beginning. So
Once that's done though,
I just, yeah, in 20, 30 years, it'll be kind of like the courthouse. They'll just have to take off the material and the base layer and kind of redo that. So.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing to do it right. And they said, obviously, the weather, and I don't know how the jail's looking, but they're delaying because of the rain as well. So they're hoping the second.
no, we delayed probably
They just-
how many times?
They just kick it. I mean, because you don't want to rip it down,
No.
scarify the foam and then have it rain. So.
No.
The only thing that's making me nervous on that is we made that claim at the end of August. And so I think we have a year to do that, right? I hate losing out on depreciation. There's 11,000 that's sitting there that, I mean, if it's the rain, there's not much we can do, but.
I
just
think
like
they
to-
give you an exception because of the weather.
Okay, I hope so,
Problem with that.
but I just,
I think we run into that one time last year on something
okay, good.
that I think they give you an exception up to 2 years, I believe.
I was worried I was about to start taking towels up there and just drying it and tell them to hurry up.
yeah, big blow dryer.
Right. But I think it's gonna be really, I mean, it's really needed. Is that roof? It's awful. Any other
Is that your motion?
questions or anything? We good? So I moved to approve the ARP project for 138, 163.43 for the library.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, and the final one? The final one? is for some concrete barriers outside the door, right out here, our public entrance. Because that is not secure, really, as far as like if a vehicle,
Holman recommended this.
kind of what happened
We'll
to
go.
the hotel.
One time we talked about putting a post out there, but come up with the idea to put these concrete barriers, which do the same thing as posts do, keep a vehicle from coming through the door.
And they're aesthetically pleasing.
And
Flowers.
no one even knows they're barriers looking at them. That's what they are.
Yeah.
I guess you can plant flowers.
And-
in
and
it.
We're gonna plant some flowers.
And the flyers, what goes in there is not my
I think the
department.
guy over the bank, Ben can take care of that.
Yeah.
4-H office.
Put a bunch of cactus, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll come up
Oh, I can kill those.
Zero escape it can.
Yeah, I can.
So
So there's 3 quotes. Which one were you most interested in?
actually the one that's cheaper, the 2483.76, it's
With
we're looking for.
Bowman Quality Products? Is that your motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the bid 2483.76.
I'll second.
It's actually a quote.
A quote, not a bill.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Terry did a good job researching that too. He and Ben worked on that one week, so thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is to consider and or approve the burn ban. No, it's iffy.
I think we're okay today.
I hadn't talked to Jerry today about that, but he said we were down to like single digits.
Oh, wow.
And then we went like a couple of days without any rain and we got back up to like 17. So we're probably back to minus.
29 before the rain came through,
Yeah.
average.
Yeah, so
I think we're,
no action on that.
I think we're at.
yeah.
All right, item 38 is to consider and or approve disposal of obsolete office equipment. I did not receive any requests. 29, accept certificates of completion from elected or appointed officials.
Yes, I have from Chris Prock, Commissioner Precinct 4, successfully completed 11 hours of educational training at West Texas County Judges and Commissioners Association Conference, as well as Gary Alexander, Commissioner Precinct 1, successfully completed 12 hours of educational training at West Texas County Judges and Commissioners Association Conference.
Okay. Item 30, consider and or approve request for use of the club rooms at the Border Library or Fritch. None? Dwight, you have any?
I have nothing other than what I reported last meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. Item 31, consider and or approve line item changes, transfers and or budget amendments.
I emailed all the budget amendment, it's just moving from one line item to another for different departments.
Move to approve the budget amendment slide item changes as presented.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? And 32 is consider and or approve advertising, opening, accepting or awarding bids.
We've got 2 that have just closed. One was the county attorney for the sale of his office furniture. We opened bids on June the 6th, but we did not receive any. So there was nothing to open.
Okay.
And then we just closed the one for the county extension office today at 8 o'clock this morning, and we received none for that either.
Nobody bid on that
That was for what?
for the
For
pickup?
the pickup for the extension office. I didn't receive any bids.
Wow.
So, Hannah did stop by my office before court and asked what we needed to do, and I said it basically goes back to square one, so I don't.
We can-
know if she'll,
Start over.
right,
Okay.
and that's all I.
All right, item 33 is consider and or approve any donations to Hutchinson County. Hearing none. Item 34, accept the reports from elected or appointed officials.
May 2023 reports were submitted by the Kelly Ratliff County Clerk, Tammy McBrayer, District Clerk, Leslie Ford, Justice of the Peace Precinct 1, Amanda Wassong, Justice of the Peace Precinct 2, and Amy Back, Treasurer, with taxable rate of 5.05% as of June 5th, 2023. Dwayne Chisholm, Road and Bridge Superintendent, also provided his daily report for May 22nd, 2023 to June 11th, 2023. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Item 35, discussion of county judges and commissioners precinct daily operations. Anybody got anything? that we
I'll
don't
just,
already know?
I was just gonna tell you guys that just like Mark Huff presented, I've
Mhm.
been working on a septic inspection and complaint response unit. I've been in talk with TCEQ. I kept saying it backwards before, but so we're working with Region 1 from TCEQ and trying to come up with a plan that I will be presenting to the court sometime in the near future. Also working with Jeremy Bland on something to see if we could remedy this in the meantime, as well as visited with Amy back on contracts and payments and how we pay for complaints and different things like that. So there is work in play regarding this matter, as well as I've been visiting with Jerry Langwell, and I've visited a little bit with Ben in regards to a potential nuisance abatement property out in the golf course edition. It's 312 Club Drive, I believe. And we'll be working on that, and probably in the next month or so, send out a letter regarding some nuisance abatement process. And that's all I've got. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dwight.
I've always wanted to tip my hat at something, so.
There you go. You guys,
Part of y'all's discussion time. Do we have any update on my ARP project?
Yes, I talked to the engineer. I know what the engineer's gonna cost. I still have to get a hold of the contractor and see what his final bill will be. I'll do that this week. And then we'll be set to go ahead and get the ARP money.
hopefully,
Thank you.
that's a long process. Good grief.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, anybody got anything else? All right, item 36 is to consider and or approve the sale of struck off tax properties. We had a couple, I think I emailed them to y'all. We had a tax deed at 1126 Elmore. Who's that, Ben?
Nope.
One more.
Elmore should be, but Elmore is you, but you might not have gotten it.
I sent
In
it.
the gateway side.
I didn't get anything.
It's Martin Corrales in the sum of $1,600, and it's a tax deed from CRG, so money's already received. They're just waiting for all the entities' approval.
Who'd you send it to?
I think that's
You, I'm pretty sure I did.
it's the same guy.
I got the one on Spruce
He
Street.
sent me Spruce. I think that's the same guy. Can I see that picture? It looks similar. Yeah, this is Spruce. This is 709 Spruce. What's that? Address. I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's the bidder. I'm sorry. I read that wrong. The bidder lives on Elmore. I'm sorry, my bad. Yes, 709 Spruce.
That's his.
And he sent it to me, and that,
I sent it on to Chris.
so it's kind of southeast of.
I'm
the
sorry.
Relief.
I looked that
Just in
up.
that area. Well, it's just in that area where y'all three kind of combine.
Mhm.
That's an empty lot, just like it is.
Right.
There's a RV thing across the street and a couple of people are using it for parking, so that might, it's not our, fault, no, but.
Right.
It's part of that contract, the online bidding stuff.
Right.
I move to approve that offer.
Great. We have a motion.
Second.
Thanks for coming, y'all. And a second, any further discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, and then the other property that was part of, CSG was 223 Maple Street. That's Ben's. Right? No, that's Gary's.
I never did get it. Oh, yeah, I did. I've got it.
From, the bidder was Marcy DeVille for $5,007,
It has a house on it.
yeah.
I would make a motion. We accept that bid.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. And then there was one other property that was located in Stinnett. Oh, no, that's the old one. That's an old one. Never mind. Okay. The next item on the agenda is just budget work session. Alicia's been working hard to get all of everyone's budget requests in. And how's that going? Good?
Yes,
We got them all in?
Everybody's in, and I am getting us ready to be able to go over.
View the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll have to start some really serious work at our next meeting on working on the budget, and hopefully we'll have maybe more information too, where we stand. But I do have one request from Monica that will concern the budget from next year, is approval for a permanent part-time cook position. She just wrote here, the county treasurer, Amy Back, advised this will cost the county $18,850 a year for 29 hours at $12.50 per hour. This request is for the next budget year. So that is just FYI, that'll be put into their budget requests. But she made a formal agenda request for that. Anybody have anything else on the budget? Or Alicia, do you have anything further
I don't have anything yet.
yet?
That would be fine.
It's about to be fun. Yep.
I was gonna tell y'all a bill passed, that early voting must be kept open Saturday and Sunday through early voting. So
So how much more is that gonna cost us?
that's what I've gotta
Yeah.
really start crunching the numbers.
Good
because
grief.
I've gotta-
Saturday and
Even-
Sunday?
The first week, 6 hours on Sunday, 12 hours on Saturday. The second week, 12 hours every day of the week, including Saturday and Sunday.
Conference. Should have told us about that.
Well, I think it was one of those, yeah, they should have at least brought it to our attention, but,
Good luck with that.
yeah. Good luck with juggling those numbers.
Folks that have, trying to find people to
To
work and.
Yeah, because that seems like a
They're
nightmare.
just.
And that's gonna be
exhausted.
weird, is that some of our places are in churches, so on Sunday.
Right? So you can't really, whole lot of things to
Well,
consider.
Early voting
Is at the end.
churches. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you've got courthouse and, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
My fault.
But they didn't change anything about election day.
No.
Okay.
We'll still have people show up on a Sunday.
Yes, we will.
looking to vote at a
Yes, they
church.
will. Yes, they will.
Maybe they'll find you.
Neat.
Ultimate ballots.
Right. Okay, anybody got anything else?
If not, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Dwight, second that?
Oh, you can't hear 'em, but-
All right.
So-
All in favor?
I'll second it.
Meeting adjourned at 12:20.